What's going on, YouTube? How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing good. I missed you guys. Hey, listen, I first want to apologize for not making a video earlier. I was planning on it, but things got a little hectic in my personal life and work, and you know how that goes, guys. So, anyways, this video is a continuation of the last video. The last video that I made was really out the box settings, Dolby Vision versus uh, HDR in the movie Aquaman. And what I wanted to do is show you another video, which is HDR versus HDR with the same two TVs. So, with that being said, guys, let's get into it. I have the 77-inch LG G3 on the left. I have the 77-inch Samsung S95C on the right. And we're going to do filmmaker mode. We're going to talk about just a little bit about what the differences are, what I see in comparison, and we're using Prime Video out of the PS5. So just to let you guys know as well before I start, when you watch these, when I'm in filmmaker mode, I use, excuse me, my reference guide as far as the settings go down to the Spears and Munsell DVD, which I've had since, ever since it came out. I ordered it pretty much right away. And um, I use it a lot to try to get more accuracy. But I will tell you guys that me personally, I am not that big of a fan of accuracy. I'm not a purist. I'm not a calibrator. I'm not a professional either. So I know I'm going to get murdered and just slashed on what I just said there. But at the same time, I am a fan. I am a fan of more of like a color pop, more saturation. I do like vibrancy when I want it. So I do believe the reason why I got the Spears and Munsell is because I do believe in accuracy when it comes to certain content and things like that. But when it comes to watching movies with a lot of CGI, a lot of color, I'm not looking for accuracy. I want that experience of high brightness, high color volume, saturation, and then there's a happy medium there too as well. You don't want to go too crazy with the colors because you're going to go ahead and lose detail, or you're going to get other things that you sacrifice if you go too high in color, too high in brightness, too high in contrast. So you know for me, there's definitely a happy medium there that I play with my settings a lot, and it is a learning progress. Again, I'm not a pro, so please go easy on me, guys. I'm just trying to show you what my personal experience is with these two TVs. So if you are in the market for them, you can, take my advice to consideration, and if and obviously you're gonna go on to more advanced research and just kind of see what a lot of the calibrators think, or how to use the TVs, things like that. And I do the same thing. So anyways, with that being said, let's go ahead. As full disclosure, this scene I wanted to have up first because it's a dark scene, and I just wanted to tell you that on the left, you're going to notice in dark scenes green tint. On the right, you're actually going to notice it's going to look a little bit more natural and clear in dark scenes on the right. And that is because in dark scenes, through the camera specifically, the green tint shows more in dark scenes. So this is an example of that I wanted to show. And then you're going to notice in the brighter scenes, you're not going to notice the green tint as much on the G3, which is on the left, but you are going to notice more pink tint on the right. And I also want you to let you know, please ignore that. Don't let that be a deciding factor. That's just what the camera picks up in person. You do not notice it. And let's move forward. I want to get to skin tones. So skin tones is a little bit of a topic that I've been becoming obsessed with lately because it's really hard to dial a TV down to get the skin tones just right, without losing more color in the other scenes that you really appreciate color in, and have it all in just one set setting throughout the entire movie. So in my experience, again, my TVs are not calibrated, so that's probably why. They're very hard to adjust and have a happy medium, but skin tones has been becoming a little bit more of an obsession for me. I really try to make sure the skin tones look right, because I do admit, although when I'm watching a bright movie with high color saturation, I'll put it in standard mode. What bothers me a lot is the fact that the skin tones never look right. But I'm not willing to sacrifice the majority of the picture in, let's say, a movie like Aquaman or Avatar, um, in order to, you know, uh, lean more towards a more natural skin tone look. I'm just not willing to do that on those movies. So just want to let you guys know, sometimes you have to choose one or the other if something is bothering you about what you're looking at. So that's the sometimes the difficult part, but sometimes that's the easy part. For me, when it comes to a more normal movie with less CGI, real people, real scenery, things like that, real backgrounds, I'm gonna actually lean more towards filmmaker mode, a more natural look, darker, uh, things like that. But when it comes to high CGI, brightness, colors, and things like that, like Super Mario Brothers, Avatar, any of these movies here, CGI, things like that. Um, those movies, I'm gonna lean more towards the higher brightness, color volume, and yeah, if once in a while the skin tones, or once in a while if it doesn't look natural to me and it bothers me a little bit, I'm not gonna obsess over it, because I will rather watch it the way I overall like it in those particular movies. So you really got to kind of go back and forth when you buy these TVs on what you like, unless you're just kind of like a set it and forget it type of person and you don't really care. Then I don't even know why you would consider purchasing these TVs here, unless you really just want the best of the best. Especially if you're a gamer, then yeah, I can see your point. But if you're just kind of watching and you're not gaming as much, you can simply go ahead and get something that's a little bit more plug and play with not as many dialed in settings, and I think you'll be okay. So let's go ahead and move on. All right, so now actually I want to go back. Uh, there's a scene here, right here. All right, so what I'm seeing right now, guys, again, just to let you know, I am in filmmaker mode. Let me just show you guys so you can see filmmaker mode on the G3, and then let's go to filmmaker mode on the S95C. All right, so what I'm looking at right now is very, very similar picture. I don't see any significant difference between the two TVs. We are in HDR10, and I think that has a lot to do with it being in HDR10 and dialed in through the Spirits and Munsell disc, and you're going to see a lot of similarities. One can argue that the whites look a little bit more pure on the LG G3, but again, that's because it's a WOLED, and on the right you can see a little bit more color in the background and things like that. But in person, you're not really going to see a difference unless you really, really look. So just wanted to point that out in this particular scene here, guys. You guys let me know what you think on your end. So let's go here. Sorry, right here. Just want to dial in on her face really quick. And you guys tell me what you think. All right, so now, again, I feel like in person, it looks a lot better than it does in the camera, but they're still very similar, even through the camera. If it looks a little bit more pink on her face on the S95C, please try to ignore that. It really does not look like that. See, this is what I like about Filmmaker mode. The skin tones just look so good, so natural. It doesn't look like her face is red. It doesn't look like her lips are red. They look pink. They look normal. Um, but again, the overall picture is dim, and I think that has a lot to do with why it looks like that. It definitely looks like the creator's intent, especially like basically if you went to the movies, this is exactly what it would look like if you were going to watch it at the movie theater. Um, you know, so this at home for me is not what I'm looking for personally. But again, if you guys just want it to look like it does in the movie theater, put it in filmmaker mode. I recommend using something a little bit more professional or recommended settings or anything. Go on YouTube. There's so many different YouTubers out there that will give you settings, tutorials, whatever TV you select. So this is basically an example of that. They're going to look the same, especially when it's HDR against HDR, filmmaker mode versus filmmaker mode, and dialed in. So let's go ahead and keep going. All right, so one of my personal favorite scenes is coming up right here, and I'm going to change the settings too once we get there. All right, guys, so this right here is one of my favorite settings. And like I was saying before, in the bright scenes, you're gonna notice that through the camera, it's gonna look a little bit more pink on the S95C, which is on the right. So please try your best to ignore that. Don't let that be a deciding factor. I'm telling you guys, when these TVs are right next to it, you don't even notice it. It's literally the camera picking that up. But what I am noticing is a lot of similarities. I think if you really want to go for brightness and more of a pure white look, then yeah, you can clearly see that the G3 definitely has that down. Um, you can't really go wrong either way. I know you're going to be happy with any of these TVs when you're watching 4K content, either streaming. I personally recommend getting a native 4K um, DVD player. I think you're going to really get the best performance and the most constant performance out of a DVD player only because it's a hard disk. And when you're watching something online, it is going to be more compressed, and it is going to like change scene to scene too. So it's just how it is, and there's nothing you can do about it. I know people stream more than do DVDs, but there are rumors out there that are saying the DVDs are coming back for that reason, because people are starting to learn and be more educated that they do look a lot better. And I've always been a DVD fan. But anyways, the reason why I'm doing this is through streaming is because I just want to show you that what it looks like for most of us that stream. So here we go. As you can see, the lighthouse looks beautiful. You just can't really argue. Either way you go, you're going to be happy. Now, here's going to be the difference. Now, I am going to go ahead and change my settings to another mode that a lot of people like watching in, and which is standard. Now let's go to standard mode on here. All right, guys. Sorry, I'm bringing down that. All right, so now let's get closer. This is a good scene because it has a... All right. All right, so this is a really good scene to consider. what I'm talking about here because it has a bright background and colors right in the front of the picture. And guys, let me tell you, you can't go wrong either way. They again look very similar. I do think the LG G3 looks a little bit more brighter in person, although the color vibrancy is a little bit better on the S95C on the blanket that she's wearing. Um, might look just a tiny bit better. But I will say they both look very, very similar. If you look at her hair, it looks a little bit brighter on the G3 in person. Please let me know what you guys think in this particular scene. When you look at the background on the wall, you definitely see a little bit more detail. Um, Actually, I believe you see a little bit more detail on the S95C, to be honest with you, when I'm looking at this, only because the color looks more like natural, but at the same time, it looks like you can see the imperfections just a little bit better on the S95C towards the top, where all the cracks in on the wall are. But again, you're really splitting hairs at this point, so there's no point of even really trying to nitpick those things. I will say in the background too, I do like the background on the S95C better in the sky because it looks more of a gray that it would look like in real life. So I got to give credit when credit is due. The S95C just looks amazing right now in this scene, even though it's a little bit darker. But on the left, if you're going for a little bit more brightness, you can tell like on her face, her skin tones are a little bit brighter, but without blowing out, without making her look completely red and unnatural. She still looks really good in this scene right here on the G3. As a matter of fact, I actually think I like the way her face looks better on the G3 because it is a little bit brighter, again, without looking unnatural. So, and her hand too actually looks better on the G3. It's brighter. You can see her more detail on the hand for some reason on her skin tones because like her veins, you can see her veins on her hand better, which I really, really appreciate. So, I like that about the G3. But again, everyone's different. All right, so now here comes a couple of scenes. Again, we are in standard mode, and I'm going to flip it back into filmmaker mode. All right, so here's a scene I like to always go over. Guys, so when it comes to this particular scene, again, I like to look at it as which scene is giving me the most detail as possible without looking ridiculous. And this scene right here in standard mode to me looks amazing in both. But I will say the G3 is giving me a little bit more detail, and it seems like just giving me a little bit more control over the colors in standard mode. So I like how the outfits or those army suits or whatever you want to call them look on the G3 a little bit better. I like the detail in the blue a little bit better on the G3. But again, I do think that it's so close that you're not even really going to notice. You guys tell me what you think on your end on this particular scene here. Now let's go ahead and flip that back into filmmaker mode so you guys can see what a dialed in uh, color or a setting looks like. All right, cool. So what I do like about filmmaker mode, especially when your settings are a little bit more dialed in, it cleans up the picture really well. What I don't like about it is I wish there was a way you can clean up the picture, make it look nice and clear like it does, but also keeping it a little bit brighter. Maybe not so high where it blows everything out, but just a little bit higher so it still keeps a really good detail and without blowing out the picture. But anyways, This scene right here, both in filmmaker mode, they still look exactly identical to me. I don't even see a difference that much, even in the detail in the gun, the blue gun, the vibrancy. I don't see a big color difference at all. You guys might see a little bit of a difference on your end because you're going to see more pink through the camera, but try to ignore that because honestly, the way I see it is if you take away the pink through the camera, it looks exactly the way it does on the left, the G3. They look literally the same. So I don't really see a difference at all. Now let's go ahead. We're gonna go to um, all right, I just want to show you guys something really quick over here. All right. So this scene right here, the reason why I stopped at this scene is because you got the window on the right shining light right through this scene. A lot of action going on over here. Again, try to ignore the pink, guys. I know you guys see it, but they look identical. And this just kind of shows how lighter scenes still look really, really clear in filmmaker mode. Now watch when I put it in standard mode. I can also switch it to other modes too, but I feel like standard and filmmaker mode are probably the two modes that most people watch in. I know a lot of people say they watch in vivid or dynamic mode, but I'm not going to do that today. All right, so there you go, guys. If you're looking for a brighter scene, you got it right there. Details are still there for both, not completely blown out. Color looks great for both. So, it it really, for me, I'm more of a fan of this look right here. I do like the brightness. If it looks overblown coming through the window, please try to ignore that. That's just my camera catching that. It does not look like that in real life. Um, but yeah, I do like the way it does look in standard mode. So I'm going to keep it in standard mode and move to another scene. All right, let's try. Let's go back here. Here we go. I love this scene. It looks like a wallpaper. But anyways, this again is in standard mode, guys. Now, um, they look very, very similar. The only thing I will say is when it comes to a lot of sky scenes with the clouds on the S95C, even in person, you can still see a little bit of that pink. But that's just really specifically speaking about clouds, nothing really else. But I do see a little bit more brightness out of the G3 in standard mode HDR, as you can tell in this particular scene right here. You're getting a little bit more brightness on the yard, like the grass where the landscape is. I think you're getting equal reflections from the sun. It might look blown out, but it's not blown out in person. That's just the exposure in the camera trying to figure out which direction to go as far as the scenes are. So please try to ignore that. And also remember, even though I am recording in 4K at 60 hertz, YouTube definitely will compress these videos. So, you also got to take into consideration as well. But this scene is beautiful for both. Now, what I'm going to do is put this scene in filmmaker mode for you guys just to show you, and I'll do a couple more scenes. I don't want to be too long. But check this out. Let's go down to filmmaker mode, and let's go back to filmmaker mode on the G3. And there you go. Now, you guys tell me what you think. Do you prefer, standard mode, that brightness, that color saturation, or do you like the more, creator's intent mode where, it is even though a little bit darker, but there you go. They both look beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you can't really tell the difference in person either. So, yes, it does look a little bit more pink in the camera, but it looks a lot closer than that. Like I said, the only difference I really see is within the clouds. That's it. Even in person, there's a little bit more pink in the bright scenes. but it's just the same as the G3 and the other spectrum. When you go into the dark scenes, you will see a little bit more green tint being exposed in the darker scenes with the MLA technology. So it's hard to really explain how or why, because nobody really knows. But at the same time, that's what you get with these two TVs. So as they both look great, it all depends on what type of what your personal opinion is. Tell me what you guys think on that particular scene right there. Here we go. Another beautiful scene. I'm gonna go ahead and what I want to do. Here we go. All right. So again, we're staying in filmmaker mode right now, and then I will switch it back to standard mode. But check this out, guys. So filmmaker mode, I'm looking at this TV, these two TVs, they look exactly the same. I like how where it says Boston Aquarium, Massachusetts in yellow, they both look exactly the same type of yellow to me. There's not one more saturated than the other. They're very equal. Um, the background looks very equal as far as the color goes, like the water, the sharks, the color, the shadows, the detail is very, very equal. I really don't see any difference at all in person. So what you're probably going to notice, it might change in standard mode a little bit. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm more of a fan of this mode. All right, so let's go ahead. All right, so there you go. See, even though they look very, very close, you can tell that the G3 in standard mode is just a little bit brighter. And by the way you can tell that is in the background where the young kid is standing in the middle there, right in front of the glass aquarium. There's inside the water right in front of him. There's like a set of rocks and sand right there. It just looks more of a pure white. It looks more of what it would look like in real life there than it would in the S95C. And it gives you a little bit more of that aquatic color on the G3, but it's so close it really doesn't even look noticeable. So guys, I'm just really splitting hairs at this point right now. All right, here's a good scene. So this scene right here, again, perfect example in standard mode. If you want brightness, you can dial down your settings too if you feel like the color is too off and you want to make it look more natural, but in standard mode. It's really up to you. You guys can change your settings however you want. Um, brightness, contrast, sharpness, it's, up to you guys. So, but that's the way it looks in standard mode right there. I love and I enjoy it. When I'm in standard mode, I just like that picture pop with these kind of movies. And, my settings will most likely be completely different in other content that I personally watch. So let's go ahead and all right, here we go. All right. Now, the reason why I stopped it here is because when you look at his eyes, they look exactly the same in person. I don't see more yellow on the S95C as I thought I would over the G3. I'm very, very impressed here. So the skin tones look exactly the same. The color of his lips, even his bottom lip and his look exactly the same. The top lip looks exactly the same. The hair looks exactly the same, guys. It just looks great. You really can't go wrong when you're in HDR with these two TVs. They look identical, and I think that has a lot to do with HDR and not the TVs. Now let's go ahead and switch this to Filmmaker. Let's see what you guys think in Filmmaker. All right, so there you go. So in filmmaker mode, again, you know, they look like twins. It looks like these two TVs don't even have a difference between each other. You know what I mean? So don't be discouraged by things that you hear other people say. Guys, you can really dial down these TVs very, very similarly. It's just a matter of how much effort you want to put into it and how much time you want to take to do it. As you guys can clearly see, filmmaker mode looks great in both. You know, at that point, I think it's just going to really come down to what TV you personally like better as far as, you know, operating systems, menu access, menu settings, experience, customization, things like that. And then also the other spectrum is gaming. Which of a you know, gamer, what type of settings do you prefer in gaming? Things like that. So, you know, mostly I like to cover gaming, but anyways, this right here, guys, is just a perfect example of how equal these TVs can look, and you can dial down. Now, when you start going the other direction and you want to go brighter and you want to do, let's say you want to turn contrast enhancer on and, um, you know, all these other processing features that the TV provides, which I personally actually really like, especially on these TVs, or, you know, on these types of movies. I actually turn a lot of that stuff on, like, um, you know, dynamic tone mapping, things like that. I will bump those up just to get a better experience with a higher color range, and you know, just an overall better experience in my personal opinions. And yes, I will do that in a completely dark room with the TV right in my face. And you know, I wish I had the ability to get 3D speakers, like sounds, uh, just to go ahead and make the experience that much better. So let's go ahead and start getting more into. All right, there's a certain scene here that I'm trying to find for you guys. All right, so it's coming up pretty soon. All right, background right here looks beautiful on both. You guys tell me, I don't want to go over this too much in filmmaker mode. What you guys think? Do you see any differences on this particular scene? Let's keep going. All right, so hold on, let me get these. All right, let's keep going. Here we go. All right. So this particular scene right here. So I put this scene on just to show you guys in filmmaker mode. The detail in the fire is amazing. Fire scenes are like a big part of what I really seek for when I'm setting up my TVs. Um, Picture setups. But anyways, if you look really close, they look very, very similar. There's not really a big difference. And again, please try to ignore the pink in this. They look exactly identical in filmmaker mode. I do believe that when you do change it in standard mode, it is going to look different. Yeah. So there. And man, the way it looks in standard mode in person, guys, is just crazy. It looks so, so nice. All right, look at this, guys. It's crazy. I love it. Anyways, um, I personally like the way it looks on the G3 better. I'm actually surprised at that. I thought I was gonna like the S95C better, but I'm seeing more color without looking like I'm losing detail. I don't think the camera is picking up what I'm seeing right there, but they look very, very similar. I like them both. Don't get me wrong. If they weren't next to each other, but you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But in this particular scene in standard mode with fires, I do like how much more clear the picture looks on the G3. All right, so let's go ahead and switch out. All right, so just trying to get to a couple of other scenes here that. All right, so let's keep going. There's a, here we go. All right, guys. So, again, in standard mode, this is why I love standard mode. The color pop in this thing is just so nice. As long as you have a way where you can still have the color pop without making it look oversaturated, that's the part that's extremely difficult in my personal opinion to get. So it is actually a little bit harder to do that on the S95C over the G3. And I think it's because the G3 just kind of naturally has more color vibrancy because it's a QD OLED. So that's what I think. I could be completely wrong. You guys tell me. But anyways, they just both look amazing right now. So I don't even see that much of a difference in person when it comes to the color. It looks exactly the same. So just to let you guys know, if you think that you know, the QD OLED automatically wins because it has better color, yes, I believe it does have better color because you can get to that color more effortlessly. But at the same token, even though it takes a little bit more to get to that color with the LG G3, there's other things that the LG G3 has that the S95C doesn't, and this is a perfect example right here. So you can get them again very equal in color, and then if you look at the G3, it might be hard to tell on your end, but that it just has this 3D effect that you really don't get out of any TV. And you know what? I know a lot of people say that you know, that has a lot to do with the when dynamic tone mapping is turned on, and I can tell you, um, dynamic tone mapping does enhance it and make it look more noticeable, but I just feel like the G3 just has something natural about it. I don't know what it is that always has more of a 3D effect. And in scenes like this is to me when it's more noticeable. It doesn't look as flat as the S95C when it comes to specifically the 3D effect. So I personally think if you're really looking for more of a 3D effect, that's what the LG has over the S95C, no matter which way you go. Now let me go ahead and put it in Filmmaker mode. I know a lot of people would really like to see this scene in Filmmaker mode. All right, so Filmmaker mode, as you can see, kind of dulls out the color, but cleans it up a little bit, makes it look a little bit more clear. So let's go ahead and go into Filmmaker mode here. And as you can see, very, very identical, very cleaned up. And that's basically what it looks like. This is when I have to say I'm just not a fan. It just kind of looks boring and it looks weird, you know, to me, because it's just, there's just no color to it. There's no, you know, I don't want to watch a movie that has scenes like this and make it look dull and dark. That's just a personal opinion of mine, you know. But now let's go to this particular scene here. All right, so hold on. Here we go. Again, very clear picture on both of them. They look great in Filmmaker mode. It looks like it is the creator's intent in my eyes, but I'm not seeing that armor that he's wearing. I don't see any pop out of it. Like, you can tell that the armor is designed to shine, and it doesn't do it in Filmmaker mode, which, you know, kind of aggravates me. It doesn't pull out the color. So sometimes I think, was this truly really the creator's intent to make it look like this, but at the same time wear shining armor? Like, to me, that doesn't make any sense. And I get that I understand that I'm not correct in that, but also my question is, why would you create a movie with such great CGI and have these characters wear these armors that are designed to be shiny and show their gold and show how bright they can be, and then not capitalize off that, or you know what I mean. So anyways, so let's put this in standard mode and let's see what it looks like. All right. All right. See? Look at that. So it might look a little bit blown out on your end, guys, but please keep in mind it does not look like that in real life. Um, but, you know, it shows more color, it shows more detail, and it just looks more fun to watch. All right. So tell me what you guys think about that scene. And here we go again. Perfect example right here. Look at the gold now on his armor. See how it's actually shining the way it's supposed to look? So that's what I'm saying is sometimes, like, even though the creator's intent, or if you designed to make it look like movie theater experience in the pictures, when you have it at home, you should take advantage of what your TV can do and, you know, just make the picture look more vibrant and get that experience. And this is the perfect example of that right there. Another perfect example. Even his armor, where there's no gold, look at how it just shines through. The reflections on his chest, the armor plates, the where the abs are. I mean, it just looks amazing in standard mode. All right, we're gonna go to a couple more scenes here, guys, and I'll let you go. So this is a thing that I wanted to talk about. Sometimes when it's in standard mode, um, even though you like the picture pop more, the thing that you're sacrificing is the skin tones. Like in this particular scene right here, I think it looks worse than it does through the camera, but it still looks pretty bad. It's hard to dial in more natural skin tone when you're looking for more color. It's just the way it is. You can't change it in either picture. And this is a dark scene, so you're going to notice that the S95C looks a little bit better in dark scenes without the green tint through the camera. But it does look more of a night. This is more of a nighttime scene, so it does look better on the S95C right now because of that green tint. You do notice it in person a little bit more in the darker scenes than you do in the lighter scenes, as I was saying throughout the whole video. And this is another perfect example of that. But again, we're in standard mode, and I really want to focus on the skin tones, and they just don't look as natural all the time, especially in scenes like this where, you know, she has red hair and all the red hair is doing is really just making her skin look more red. And this is a perfect example of that. So. All right, so let's go ahead. This is one scene that I really want to show. All right, guys, so again, we're in standard mode, and this is why I like watching it in standard mode. Look at the way the picture pops. I'm seeing a little bit more purple in the S95C, which I really like. I'm seeing a more color vibrancy in the S95C, which I like better over the G3. I am seeing still a little bit more 3D effect, though, in the G3. But I do like the S95C overall, the way this picture looks better. Now we're going to go ahead and put it in Filmmaker mode. And you guys tell me what you think. You know, this is what it's all about. This is why I do this, is just to show you guys the differences. And I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying this video. But I'm almost done. All right, cool. See? So it dims it down. I do like the way it cleans up the picture a lot better. It looks beautiful on both. I just wish there was a way where it still kind of looked nice and clear like this, but just bringing up the brightness just a little bit more. You know what I mean? It's just hard to do that on these TVs. So without, you know, blowing it out or losing some kind of sacrifice or detail or something. So, but anyways, let's go ahead. I want to get to another scene here. Here we go. So this scene is a nice example. Again, guys, please try to ignore the way the pink looks, but they both look identical in person here. Dark scene, skin tones look pretty much exactly the same. I love the way they both look, so. All right, we're gonna keep going. Let's see. Here we go. Actually, all right. Love this scene right here. Lots of color. So again, beautiful picture right here. I like the way the TV separates the color from each other just to make it look more clear, more just more nice and tuned, or fine tuned, I should say. So that's what I like about filmmaker mode when you dial, especially when you dial in your settings. It just looks really, really nice. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put it into standard mode. All right. So standard mode can look definitely blown out a little bit through the camera. Please know that it really doesn't look like that. It's just the exposure, guys. But if you guys like scenes like this to be as vibrant as possible, you probably want to put it in standard mode. You can dial your picture exactly how you personally like it. This right here, to me, you know, through the camera, I don't think it's really serving its justice, but I can tell you what I'm seeing. So just try to take my word for it. And what I'm seeing, a lot more vibrant colors. Even though it's not as clean of a picture as it is in filmmaker mode, and it does kind of blow out a little bit, it is not noticeable, or as noticeable, I should say, in person. So that's in standard mode right there. Just trying to go ahead and find sorry guys, getting there. All right, here we go. All right. So I like this part right here because it just shows you a lot, and this is going to be my last scene, but it shows you a lot what this TV can do in these types of scenes here. So again, we are in standard mode. I will flip it into filmmaker mode for you, but the brightness in these two TVs are equal. In this particular scene, I will say I am seeing a little bit more color out of the G3 over the S95C. Obviously, you can change that, but I think if you do change that, you're going to probably sacrifice a little bit more out of the S95C than you would in the G3, because the G3, I just know out of my personal experience, you can fine tune it a little bit better than you can on the S95C. The S95C to me is a little bit more plug and play than it is versus the G3. And I personally like to be able to control my settings as best as I can, and you know, it is a learning progress, but there you go. So now let's put it in filmmaker mode. And then we're also going to put it in filmmaker mode for the S95C. And there you go. And you guys tell me what you think. Do you prefer scenes like this to be in filmmaker mode, or do you prefer it to be in something like standard mode where it's brighter. Me personally, I like standard mode better. What I do like about the filmmaker mode is how nice and dialed in they can be, and give it a little bit more clarity and things like that. But again, I don't know in movies like this if I want to sacrifice the color for that, and that's my biggest thing. So you guys let me know what you think. um, if you're more of, when you're watching HDR movies and this type of content, do you like it more in standard mode? What do you got? Do you like HDR handling better on the S95C, or do you like it better on the G3? As you can tell, it really is like splitting hairs. You guys are going to be both happy, most likely, with whatever you choose. It's just at that point, I think it's really going to come down to build quality, um, menu experience, customization experience, gaming, things like that. So there's obviously other reasons why you would pick this. And I know there's a lot of reviews already out on the A95L. And I can tell you I'm excited about that TV, but at the same time, there's a lot of other people saying they actually think that the G3, which I'm surprised about, is going to be the TV of the year. I think that it's still going to be the A95L, but you know, there's a little bit of backlash going on right now on the A95L, and they're actually saying that the S95C can get brighter than the A95L. And with that being said, the G3 can get brighter than the S95C. But I think it is a scene by scene basis. But I think overall the G3 can get brighter over all three of them. I could be, completely mistaken, but that was just my interpretation of it. Um, you know, Either way, guys, this is a good year, and for TVs, for us buyers, we're all winners. So no matter which direction you go, I just think that it'll be great personally if either the S95C or the G3 were to win TV of the year, only because it just shows that you don't have to pay a premium like you did last year on the A95K to get the TV of the year. That was literally the most expensive TV that you can get at 65 inches, and it was granted in the TV of the year. But you know, it really wasn't worth the premium that you pay when you can get the S95B, and it was so close. So it'd be nice that you can get a lower price point TV and have that TV be the TV of the year, which either of these TVs you would be extremely happy with. And the A95L is still going through testing, it's still going through its reviews, and you know, once those are all done, we'll see what the TV of the year is. So if you guys have any comments, please, if you like this video, please hit a like. If you found this informative, please let me know if you have any comments, and again, I will get back to you. Thank you so much for all of your support. You guys are the best. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.